Well, good morning. Captain Ron at you one more time. Please excuse me, I lost a tooth, so it's hard for me to talk. But what we're going to do today is make up a drive shaft, and I'm going to make it up on the floor or the workbench, whatever you might have. If you have a lathe, more power to you. I have a lathe, but my steady rest is too small. I've got to make me a steady rest. So that's what I'm going to do at a later time. But today, we're going to talk about making up a drive shaft, and you can do it, and I think it's every bit as good as one that a shop would do, except I have no way to balance it. But it's been my experience, and I know many people disagree, unless you have a race car, and you're turning 6,000 to 7,000 RPM. But I think it's been in my experience, and another drive shaft man that had done it for years as a profession, he didn't balance them either. And if you do them right, you shouldn't need to balance them. But take that for what it's worth. If it'll help you sleep at night, by all means, balance your drive shaft. All right, let me show you what I'm doing. I'm working on my 67 C10. Got the engine and trans end and everything. So now I'm just moving right along. Let me show you what I'm doing. I picked up a drive shaft and the transmission out of a 3500 series Chevy van. So it's got the big 1350 joints in it, and the rear is 1310. But that's okay. I bought a combination joint. But anyway, that's besides the point. Let me show you about this drive shaft, and I've already gotten started on it because it's hard for me to hold the camera and do the work too. But I'll show you what I did. I might have to put this together in a couple different clips. Okay, here we go. Here's my truck. Where's my drive shafts going? I'll put the combination joint on the rear. But I've got the drive shaft here, and this was originally a two-piece drive shaft. So both pieces were too short. So I cut the yokes off. Of each end, and I put them on, and of course I still have to weld them. But I had to buy a tube. So this drive shaft is a 3-inch drive shaft, and typically the tubes are 83 thousandths. So that's what this one was. But of course you have to cut the yokes off. So what you can do, I didn't use a cutoff wheel on this one. If you have a lathe that's nice, you can just put it in the lathe and just cut it down until you have no more tube, and life is good. You don't need a lathe. You can use a grinding wheel or a cutoff wheel. Just be careful when you get down to the yoke that you don't want to go too far and grind into the yoke. But you can use a grinding wheel or a cutoff tool, and then you can even slice it to help you get it off. So once you get it off, go ahead and clean the yoke up. If there's any weld or anything, go ahead and clean it up. Oh, and by the way, when you cut the tube, you'll probably have to cut a tube to make it the length you want. I go around with 2-inch tape. I do a couple wraps, and you can see when it mates on the first wrap if you get it close, or if you need to go around a couple times, you can get it almost perfect. And then once you do that, take a cutoff wheel on your grinder and go around it right next to the tape. And you can start your line and then go around a few times until eventually you will have a shorter drive shaft. It'll cut right through. So then what I will do is I'll take a sander and just lightly just hit it like that right in the center of the tube and knock off the burrs and stuff. Then I will go inside, and you can see this is a piece cut off. Now this is a welded drive shaft tube, which most of them are, but it's welded right there. So what I would do is go inside with a carbide burr or a sander, and I'll show you what I used to knock that off. Because if that sticks up, that will throw your yoke off, and it'll make it harder to get the yoke back on. So I usually knock that off. You can hit it with that first, carbide burr, or you can hit it with a little little sanding wheel, you know, to knock it down. But then I'll finish it up with a flap wheel, and that flap wheel will get it nice and smooth, nice and flat. Now, these drive shafts are typically about, from what I found, 5 to 10 thousandths interference fit. So let's say, I think this one was like 7 thousandths. I think this one was 7 thousandths interference. So I'm not trying to take, you know, all the meat off so the thing will just fall in by hand. You know, I want an interference fit. So just clean it up there, knock the burrs off, polish it, and you know, you're good to go. Now, on the entrance of the tube and actually the yoke, you can slightly chamfer just the leading edge of it. That'll help the yoke to get started into the tube. I wouldn't do the whole thing because, you know, you want the existing factory machine surface to, you know, help line everything up, keep it lined up. So, but you can do the starting edge, put a little chamfer on it, and that'll help get you started. There's nothing in the world wrong with that. All right, now you don't have to do this either, but if you want to, you can. And I did this for the first time on this, and it seemed to help somewhat. You can put the yoke in the freezer, and then I heated up the tube with a propane torch. So, like I said, I've never done that before, but you can do that. It certainly wouldn't hurt anything. It would help, if anything, to go ahead and cool that one and heat the tube. And then go ahead and start it. And it would be easier if I took the yoke off, but I'm lazy. But I went ahead and just did it with the yoke in place. So I heated it, cooled that, tapped it in, got it started, and then I would alternate using a big piece of brass to drive it in from side to side. So you just keep going until you get the yoke all the way in, and you could say, well, that's good to go, it's time to weld it. Well, no, you don't want to do that yet, because that tube can still be off. So what you need to do is take a dial indicator, and I guess I'm going to have to make a separate video and add it to this one. But what we'll do is, once we get this yoke all the way in, we will mount this somewhere, maybe on the vehicle, and put a dial indicator on it and see what kind of runout we have. And then once we do that, we can adjust the runout by tapping the high side and getting it, try to get it within, say, 10 thousandths. 10 thousandths would be good, but the closer you can get it, the better off you are. And so if you get it below 10 thousandths, get it 5 or 10, then you can go ahead and tack it quickly in 3 places. Then I'd come in between and tack again in 3 more places in between those tacks, you know, while you work your dial indicator and to just see you haven't lost anything. And there's also another trick that you can do once you weld this yoke up. Usually people weld them all in one pass, and that's fine. I mean, I might do the same thing again, but there's nothing wrong with welding an inch, going to the opposite side, welding an inch, welding an inch, welding an inch, and then come back in between. If you want to do that's fine. No rule anywhere says you have to do it all in one pass. So, and I use my MIG. But once it's mounted on the truck, your vehicle, or a lathe, you know, you can run after it's welded, you can run your dial indicator. And if you have a high spot, you will have a high spot. It might not be much, but you're going to have a high spot. You can take a blowgun and blow the side that's high. You can blow it with compressed air. And that will cool this side first and help knock the high side down, just to get you a little bit closer. So I might make a video after I weld it, but from here on in, I mean, it's not rocket science anyway. Just take your time and do as I suggested. And if you do that, your drive shaft is going to be as straight as any drive shaft shop. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be, you know, but it just won't be balanced. If you want to do it yourself and you want to, you know, take it to be balanced after you make it up, well, that's fine. You can do that too. Okay, thanks for watching. Please click like and subscribe. I appreciate it.